Hello, this lesson we're going to take a quick step away from 3D modeling so that I can teach you some programming basics. The concept I want to show you here is the for loop. Our 3D modeling software is based off of the Python programming language, which is a very popular programming language. Though I'm not going to show you guys any 3D modeling concepts directly, you will be able to use the concepts from this lesson in your 3D modeling very soon. So what are for loops? For loops are ways of repeating actions in programming. Sometimes you want to perform certain actions many times, and you want to avoid repeating the same code that many times. In these cases, it is much easier to use a for loop. These loops are called for loops because they perform the action one time for each item in a list of items. To give you an example, I'm going to do a basic task without a for loop and then with a for loop to show you how useful they can be. Because this is in Python, know that you can use either the Plasm tool in the Creative Suite that you have been using for your 3D modeling, or the Python tool in the Creative Suite, which is under the Programming section. I'm going to use the same Plasm tool from the Creative Suite that I have been using in all of these videos. The task that I'm going to do will be printing out the numbers 0 through 4 using the print command. Unlike the Plasm commands that we've been using so far, which have been all caps, print is all lowercase letters. So we will type our code print 0, print 1, print 2, print 3, and print 4, and then run our program. Here in the yellow box is the result of our printing, and below it is a warning that tells us that we aren't producing any graphical output, which is what happens whenever you run a program that doesn't display anything in the viewport. We know this, and it doesn't affect what we're doing because we're not trying to create graphical output here. Now let me show you how to do the same thing, print out the numbers 0 through 4, using a for loop. I'm going to write the code and then explain it to you. The top line here creates the for loop. Then there is a two-space indent followed by the code that you want to repeat in the for loop, known as the body of the loop. Notice that there is a colon right after the for loop line. Without this colon, the program will not run. In this case, we are telling the program to print number. It's important to know that number is just a variable that changes each time that the for loop repeats itself. You can also see that there is this command here called range, which takes a number parameter, which is in this case 5. Range is also in all lowercase letters like the print command, unlike all the Plasm commands that you have been using. What range does is creates a list from 0 up until the number that we put in as a parameter. So when we put in 5, it creates a list from 0 and including 0 to 5, though not including 5. The list would then be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Our for loop starts with number being 0, and then each time it repeats, it goes up a number in that list. When it reaches the end of the list, the repeating stops. So the first time around, number will be 0, and the print command will print 0. Then it increases to 1, and the print command will print 1. So on and so forth until number is equal to 5, in which case the loop will end and 5 will not be printed. Let's run the program. It is exactly the same output as before. See, the numbers 0 through 4 are displayed in the yellow box. Using for loops to do this task is better than doing it manually using the print command for a number of reasons. First off, notice that this is 2 lines of code instead of the 5 from before. In this particular case, it's just more convenient using a for loop, but sometimes you will want to repeat an action so many times that you need to use a for loop. Secondly, using a for loop makes changing the program much easier. Say you want to print out the numbers from 0 to 9, or even 0 to 99, for example. Without a for loop, you would literally have to type out the print command that many times. But with a for loop, we just have to change the number in the range parameter. So let's change the number in our range command to 10 in order to print out the numbers from 0 to 9 and then run our program. There they are, 0 to 9 in our yellow box. To summarize for loops, remember a few things. Remember that they are a way of repeating actions where you can specify the number of times that you want to repeat them using the range command. Remember that you write them by saying for, then the name of a variable, which you may name anything you want, which increases with each repeat of the for loop, and which can be used within the loop. Then you put the word in to specify that you're repeating actions for the objects in a list, and end it with the range command, which creates the list that the loop will repeat over from 0 up to the number that we put in as a parameter. Then we put in a colon, and all of our code after this that is indented with 2 spaces is the body of the loop, and will be repeated every time that the for loop is repeated. For loops are very useful, and they will allow you to write much more flexible and quality code. Experiment with them until you are comfortable with them, and try to incorporate them into your 3D modeling.